Did you know that to pass your real estate exam, it is important that you learn all the vocabulary or the majority of them? Memorize them, practice them, because every question has vocabulary in the question and in the answers. And I've learned from doing this over and over that vocabulary is lacking from everyone to understand what the questions are asking. So today we're going to do about 10 vocabulary words, and hopefully you'll get to learn them well. So here we go. All right, so we're doing sublease. I'm going to, let's see, maybe minimize myself a little bit more. All right, so sublease. So if you at any point you have any questions, type it down in the chat. But be prepared, we're doing 10 vocabulary. I'll be doing another session at about 6:25, and that'll be Texas questions. So I'm changing the approach on how to help you. So a sublease. Can someone answer in the chat, what is a sublease? No answers. Okay. So a sublease is lease or rent all or part of the other person to another person. So when when a person has a lease agreement, okay, they're the main lessee. If they decide to leave, well, they're under still an agreement for maybe a 1 year or more. Therefore, they can, according to the owner, they have to get permission. They can lease it, sublease it to someone else, yet they are going to be responsible for everything. So you're leasing or renting all or part of the property to another person. That is a sublessee. And the owner has to approve it, or it's already in the lease agreement. Next, an easement. What is an easement? There's different types of easements on a property, right? You have road easement, well easement, septic easement, or an easement to access a creek or a pond or so an easement is a right of way. So it is the privilege, the legal privilege, because most easements are recorded, of using something that is not your own. So type in the chat, when there is an easement, you have two individuals, right? The one that owns the property and the person that is going to use that lease that belongs to the other property. So what are the names of those two individuals or those two types of owners when there is a lease? Type that in the chat, please. So I'm going to type here. So you have the servient, and the dominant persons. So whenever you have a lease, a easement, you're going to have a dominant person. That's the one that has the right to use it. And you're going to have the person that owns the lease. That's a servant, the servient to the dominant person. So an easement, right? It is the legal privilege, the legal right to use that which belongs to someone else. And it could be a well, a septic. There is the utility easements that the city has access to the property in order to access those easements. You can also have an easement to walk across the individual's property, to use go into their pond or go into their lake frontage or ocean frontage. Once they're recorded, they go with the land. If they're not recorded, it could be an easement for the individual. And if that individual dies, then that easement terminates. If the owner sells, that easement terminates, because it is a temporary easement. All right. Okay. So lease. What is a lease? You're going to have a what? A lessor and a lessee, right? The OR and the EE. Lessor is the owner. Lessee is the tenant. So a lease, it's a contract, and typically we say it's a lease agreement. Okay, granting use, temporary use, or to occupy the property and possess it. So it can be land, apartment, a house, commercial property. So granting, contract granting, or lease agreement granting use or occupation of the property. So if they're using the land, okay, they're bringing over maybe an RV or a mobile home, manufactured home. If it is an apartment, they're occupying the apartment and get to enjoy, possess, okay, and use that apartment without the interruption and interfering of the landlord, with the exception of when the landlord requests with a 24-hour notice, or if there is an emergency. If there's an emergency, the lessor can go into the property and take care of the emergency. Otherwise, they'll need the lessor, which the owner that is renting it to the lessee, will need a 24-hour notice. And nowadays they can email it. The best thing is to post it on the door or hand deliver it to the tenant in order to get access. And that could be like for going in there and doing a repair that is not an emergency, to spray the property for termites or pests, or any other reason why they may need to go that, or the landlord wants to preview the property and see what the condition is. So we have a lessee and a lessor. So it's an agreement to allow someone to live on that property, to occupy it, or to lease the land. Oh, darn it. I didn't create an account for this. Oh, bummer. Ain't that a bummer? Sign in with Google. So this is what you're also going to learn on how you can sign into a lot of applications, is you can end up signing in using your email. Okay, so by subject. So sorry about that. I wasn't expecting that to happen. So you know what? What we say, shit happens when we least expect it, right? So let's see if we can get the vocabulary. Oh, I should say real estate vocabulary. In the house, real estate vocabulary. Okay, so there we were on easement. No, we were on lessee, right? Okay, lien. What is a lien? A lien is something that attaches to the property, right? It is an encumbrance. So it is the right to take or hold the property of a debtor. Kind of makes it sound a little bit confusing. Okay, but a lien is a lender can put a lien on the property when they provide a loan. So then that lien will stay on the property until that property is sold and the lien is paid for. It also, so it says the right to take and hold the property of a debtor. The debtor is the borrower, right? And so the bank, a mechanical lien, property tax lien, child support liens, other judgments, those are all liens. a home equity line of credit, a commercial line of credit. All those loans are liens, and they hold the property. They attach it to the property, and the property cannot be sold until those liens are paid for, and the lender will provide a release of liens. And why do you want a release of liens? Because when it's recorded at the title company, at the courthouse, and if the loan will stay there until there is a release of lien recorded. And that allows the individual the freedom that they don't have that encumbrance, okay, or that lien attached. Hi, Taylor. Thank you for joining us. Okay, appurtenant. What is an appurtenant? So an appurtenant is something that is attached to the property. So it can say furnishings, added support. These are kind of interesting vocabulary. So an appurtenant is something that's attached to the property. Okay, it could be an improvement, it could be a fence, it could be anything else that is part of the property attached to the property. That's an appurtenant. Furnishings that are attached, okay, are an appurtenant. Tenancy. So now we were talking about lessor and lessee, renting property. So what is tenancy? Hi, David. David, thank you so much. Yes, it is my birthday today. January 4th is my birthday. And so I remain 21. Okay. You see that 21? I now stay at the age of 21. So I received a bottle of wine and some flowers. Okay. So thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. So what is the difference between an appurtenance and appurtenant easement? Both of them are attached. An appurtenant easement is an easement that is part of the property that someone else also gets to use. So appurtenance doesn't have to be an easement. An appurtenant is something that is attached to the property, that is part of the property. Okay. And the appurtenant easement is a right of way given by the easement owner to someone else that wants to use it. Okay, so and those are typically recorded. Okay, it gives them a right of way, a right of transfer. Versus, I'm Googling it to see if I can give you something a little bit easier. Okay. All right, so here is easement appurtenant and easements in gross both allow a non-owner to use a piece of land for a specific purpose. Okay, while an easement appurtenant involve two adjacent pieces of land. So you have to have them right next to each other so that you can share a driveway, you can share a well for drinking water, you can share a septic. So two adjacent properties of a property. An easement in gross is an agreement between people. So when I was mentioning during the easement that if somebody wants to have access to walking and going to the pond or to the lake or to the ocean, that is part of that property, then they'll get an easement in gross. Once the property owner, so the property owner, the grantor, grants it to a specific person or company. Should that grantor sell, that easement ends. When it is a recorded easement, then it goes with the land. Okay. So it is an appurtenance. Okay. So that's an appurtenant easement. Okay. And an appurtenant is an accessory or other item associated with a particular activity or style of living, and it's actually with the property. Okay, and what is an appurtenance on property? An appurtenance is a real property which is defined as being immobile or fixed to the land. So you can have a permanently installed fence, You can have plants that are dug in the ground. Those are considered appurtenances. You can have so anything in this case, appurtenances relate to the land and what is attached to it. All right, so let's see here. Happy 21st birthday again. Thank you, Taylor. So did you get that, Taylor? The difference between an appurtenance and an appurtenance easement. So an easement is a right of way, and it can be temporary or it can be permanent. Hi, Miss Cindy. All right. So keep on continuing on, okay? Because I am then going to be doing Texas State on a separate video. So tenancy, the act or state of being an occupant. So a tenant occupies a property. So they have tenancy, the right to occupy. They are the tenant, and the owner is the landlord. An appraisal. What's an appraisal? So an appraisal is the classification of something with respect to its worth. So an appraisal determines the value of the property currently compared to similar properties that have been sold within the last month, 2 months, or 6 months. An appraiser will go as far back as 6 months. However, when the market is changing really fast, they may only go back 3 months or 1 month until they find at least 3 to 5 properties that compare to it that have sold, and then they come up with a value for that property that the bank can accept, and it allows the contract. If the property appraises above the purchase price, then awesome, no issues. If it appraises below the purchase price, somebody has to make an adjustment. It goes back to negotiating, or the buyer has to bring in the difference. So it deals with the worth, the value of a property, but it's also an opinion. Okay, property. What is property? There could be real property or there could be personal property, right? So something owned. So something owned is personal property. That's your belongings, your car, your clothing, anything that moves that's not attached to a home. Real property is the land and the improvements. They go with the land. Okay, they go with the land. So something that is owned. Fiduciary, that's what we are, what our main responsibility when we become realtors. We have a fiduciary duty. That is relating to or of the nature of a legal trust. So our fiduciary duty, if you can use, old car, right? And those are responsibilities that we owe to a client, okay, a principal in a real estate transaction. Now, we have to be honest and provide normal facts to everyone and treat everyone with respect, okay? However, we don't have to trust them. And in real estate, okay, a fiduciary is our duty to be honest and help our client and do the best for our client, and our client comes first, not us. All right, so we did, I think, at least 10 vocabulary questions. So it's important, like I said at the beginning of the video, vocabulary, vocabulary, vocabulary. So I'm thinking that if I do just a handful or 10 vocabulary, you might be able to learn them much better, and it'll be a shorter video for you to go and review. Okay, so this is Wild Lillie Handy coming to you with YouTube Agent Prep from San Antonio, Texas. If at all you have any questions, type them in the comments, and I respond to all the questions. If you're first time to my channel, tap that subscribe button, click that little bell so you're the first to get notified, and like this video if you found it useful. Until the next video, and actually we're going to be doing state and about 625. See you later.